man, Alliance Wars seasons, they are a changin'. Season 3 is going to look a lot different from Season 2, and at least one of the changes being announced here, I would not have predicted at all. This definitely caught me off guard. I think it caught pretty much everybody in the community off guard. And we're going to get to it. We're going to get to all these changes, but let's start with the one change that I feel like a lot of people did see coming at least, which is a change to the duration of the season. It's being drastically reduced. Next season is going to be much shorter in duration. Season 2 lasted for 8 weeks, which is 24 long and grueling wars before you get your rewards. Now that's being reduced to only 4 weeks. So only 12 wars before you get your rewards, and then there's still going to be a 2-week downtime. So that feels pretty good. You know, you get to a certain number of wars in a season, and it's no longer exciting. It's more of just a grueling process that you have to get through in order to, you know, get the rewards at the end. With only being 12 wars, I feel like that's pretty good. You know, it'll be exciting for the first like 8 or 10, or maybe down to the wire if you're, you know, close to going up or down a bracket, but it'll be exciting for a much larger percentage of the season at least, and then you get the reward payout a little bit quicker. Now they are adjusting the rewards too, so it's going to be kind of in proportion. They are going to tone down some of the rewards, but it's going to be the same over time. There's just going to be shorter seasons basically. You're still going to end up getting the same rewards, just going to have a little bit more downtime, a little bit more break between some of these more intense wars. So I think that's good overall. I think it's also good because it'll allow Kabam to possibly make some other changes to the game between seasons that maybe they wouldn't want to make mid-season. For example, the change that is potentially coming to Dexterity and Mystic Dispersion that was being beta tested. We still don't know if that's going live or not, but hopefully they are going to make it live before Season 3 happens, and then maybe between Season 3 and Season 4, maybe they could adjust some of the other masteries and give us some more compelling options to put our points in, like some of the other class-based masteries, or just add some new ones in general. That'd be good to see. So I think it's good for both of those reasons. Before I get into the other changes announced, I want to take a step back here and talk about Marvel Contest of Champions as a whole. I want to talk about the role that Alliance Wars plays in this game, and the direction that I would like to see Alliance Wars take going forward. And then we'll compare what I would prefer to see with what's actually going on here. Hey, maybe they line up, maybe they don't though. Alright, so I'm going to compare Marvel Contest of Champions to an electronic card game, actually, for a moment here. You'll see why. Electronic card games, the way that they work is they are also free to play, and you earn packs of cards by playing the game, and of course you have to open up a lot of packs of cards in order to get the cards that you're actually looking for, right? It's all luck of the draw in those packs of cards, right? Or you can circumvent a lot of that time and effort spent playing the game and earning those packs of cards just by paying a little bit of a premium, throwing a little bit of money into the game, and just straight up buying those packs of cards. And I think that this works out really well because it gives all types of players, whether you have time or you have money, a chance to play the game together. Once you make that initial investment and build up your collection of cards and put your decks together and everything like that, there's not a whole lot of time or money investment needed. You kind of just play the game at that point. And there are certain modes that they may cost a little bit, and certainly there's a little bit of an advantage gained by the players who spend money to build up their collection, just because you know, it's going to take you know, the person who's doing it the free way might not have gotten lucky yet, and they might not have gotten what they were looking for, so they might be at a little bit of a disadvantage. But for the most part, you're just playing the game at that point. It's not a big time or money investment. And that is how I would prefer to see Marvel Contest of Champions. I don't mind, in fact, I really enjoy the kind of slow process of building up your roster, collecting these champions. You know, you can get kind of pieces of champions in the form of shards, and then build those up to open up crystals, and you might get lucky, you might not, or you can kind of circumvent a lot of that by just throwing a bit of money into the game, and I say a bit very loosely because some people throw a bit more than a bit of money into the game, which is fine, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but they get their rosters up quicker. Eventually, though, you know, you get to a point where the two should be able to kind of face off and go head to head and just play the game. And I think right now there's a little bit too much of a time and or money investment in Alliance Wars, the actual game part of the game, right? The competitive game mode of the game. And I don't want to see items completely go out the window. I like the fact that there's boosts available, and it makes you think about the game, and if you want to use that boost, especially the 3-minute ones. I like the fact that we have some potions to use, but we're limited to 15 of them. But here's the thing, I really, really want to see the potion cost just cut in half, man. I'm not asking for the potions to be free, because I do think that it adds a little bit to the game. That idea of, you know, getting through your lane and then having in your mind like, ha, I only had to use a few potions this war, so I saved a whole bunch of units. I could, you know, pass that on to the next war, or take those saved units and spend them on something else. Maybe when an offer comes around, pick that up. Or that kind of added pressure of like, oh, damn. Well, I'm getting through my lane, but I am having to use a lot of items, so, you know, maybe I won't be able to get that next offer that comes around. Or what I would really like to see, too, is other ways to heal up our champions outside of potions, too. Let's go to the mastery tree real quick, and I'll show you a couple examples of what I'm talking about. So in the utility tree, or whatever tree, it doesn't really matter, maybe there could be a mastery that every time you defeat an enemy, you gain a portion of your health back or something like that. I don't know if that would work necessarily in regular questing. Maybe we could have just this, like this little cluster of masteries here to just be Alliance War specific or something like that. Or maybe there could be a mastery that gives you Alliance War potions. Every single war it resets and gives you 5 potions, and the more points that you put into that mastery, the stronger the potions become. And they still go towards your 15 item limit, but at least those would be items that you have for free, right? You don't need to invest time or money. And it would still have this layer of depth in the game where you can decide if you want to get a mastery like that to save yourself some units, or you can disregard that mastery and just go with something that actually increases your champion's power, any of these other masteries. And then people who, you know, want to spend money in the game, they'll still have that advantage because they could always just use their money on potions. They don't have to worry about that type of mastery. But it allows somebody who doesn't have as much time or money to throw into the game to be able to still keep up and still be able to participate in these wars. So that's kind of the direction that I would like to see this game go in the future, for Alliance Wars at least. And the way it is right now, I feel like it's being pushed further and further from that, because at the higher tiers of Alliance War, it's actually becoming more difficult. The middle and lower tiers, you guys don't have to worry. Actually, Kabam is making it a little bit easier for people in those tiers. I don't know the exact tiers, but they are making it a little bit easier for people who are just getting into the game, or a little bit more enjoy the game on a little bit more of a casual level. But for the people who are trying to push and get the best rewards in the game, the wars are becoming more difficult. And I'm actually fine with them increasing the difficulty. Some of these wars were downright boring, man. You'll see the comments posted on my videos. People are like, why are you even uploading this? You're just taking a 565 boosted up Medusa and mowing down 4-star champions. And yeah, it really wasn't that exciting. But if they increase the difficulty of the map, then that's also going to increase the amount of items that need to be used on average per war. And right now, the cost of war is already very, very high. Just doing some estimations, if you convert all of the potions that you gain from the Glory Store and that kind of thing, if you convert that all into a unit value, we're talking like 20 or 30,000 units per alliance at the high-end master tiers, right? So we're talking like a 50,000 unit war between both sides. And yeah, like I said, a lot of that is saved by getting those potions through the Glory Store, which is great. But eventually, you know, you run out of glory too, and those potions, you have to spend units on them. Now, like I said, I'm fine with them increasing the difficulty, but please, Kabam, I urge you to strongly consider to reduce the cost of these potions, or maybe have like some super premium potion that heals a tiny bit more, but the price is like doubled if you really want to, you know, have people allow people to have that option to pay a ridiculous amount of units to heal up more or something like that. But at least reduce the like the level 4 health potions. They don't even heal as much as they used to, and yet they still cost as much too. So please reduce the unit cost for those. Then I would actually be fine with the increase in difficulty. As to the other change that's happening, they're also removing defender diversity. This is the big one that no one really saw coming, taking out defender diversity. Now this also increases the difficulty of wars, which again I'm fine with as long as other adjustments are made, which are not talked about here. I'm fine with them doing that if they reduce the cost, because like I said, some wars that you fight, they're really boring. So I don't necessarily mind fighting some of the more difficult defenders. I think defender diversity has some pros and cons to it, and I'm not exactly sure which is the better of the two. It is nice being able to fight different enemies and not fight the same enemies all the time. It definitely does get boring if you fight the same defenders over and over and over. And I do think it's also fun kind of talking with your alliance, trying to figure out and figure out exactly which champions are which based on the enemies that you fought beforehand. So you could be talking like, hey, has anyone come across a magic yet? No one's fought magic. Okay, alright, well this is a good node for magic, so this is probably going to be magic going into it, and then you take the champion accordingly. So I think defender diversity does add a lot of depth in that way. But I do think it also has a negative impact on the game, because a lot of times I'll see somebody else in my alliance go for a champion and want to rank up that champion, and I'm like, well, now I can't rank up that champion. They already did it, right? There's no reason for me to go for Iron Man Infinity War if someone else in my alliance already has them. So I guess I'll pass on that and I'll go for the next one. So pros and cons with defender diversity. I'm fine with a change to it, but I really need a reduction in cost for these wars. It's just becoming too much. It's already borderline too much as it is, and with changes to make wars more difficult, like I'm fine with the fact that we might not be able to 100% the map. Totally fine with that. But if I'm going to have to be spending 15 items each war, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up. So yeah, please consider making that change, and then honestly I'm pretty fine with the rest of it, but that would be a big change that Kabam would have to make for me to be fine with it. As it stands right now, not really too happy to see these changes being made to Alliance Wars. As for ranking up certain defenders for diversity purposes and kind of the idea of wasting those resources, I mean, I think most alliances did the same thing, so I think everybody's kind of in that same position, so that doesn't really bother me so much. It would only bother me if like one team did that and no one else did, then that team would be screwed. But otherwise, I don't think it's that big of a deal. We're getting Tier 2 Alpha at a little bit of a faster rate these days. So yeah, I'm kind of fine with that. And generally I'm more open to games that make changes like this versus just letting the game become stale and boring. And I do think that this type of change does make it more interesting. It's just there needs to be some other changes that go along with it too. I really want the game to become more like the card game example that I gave, where we invest our time and money and other resources into building our collections and leveling up our champions, and then just let us play the game. Give us this war zone, set up this game mode that drives us to continue to wanting to build our rosters and that kind of thing. But once we actually get in there, make it less about spending time or money to have these resources, to have that advantage, and to be able to play the game on a competitive level. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know how you feel about it all, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.